Okay, so we've gone over 4 different situations where you might make small talk with somebody or have a medium length conversation. You might be wondering, why do we make small talk? It seems like something that is not important. You're just talking about trivial, unimportant things, light things. So why even bother? Well, the first reason why is to not be rude. Remember from our previous lessons that a lot of what you do when you're interacting with people in English is trying to be courteous. You want to be very courteous and nice to set the stage for a good relationship with somebody. So small talk is a way of showing that you don't want to be rude, that you want to have a short conversation with somebody to maybe get to know them a little bit. For example, let's take one of the situations we just talked about. You're at a party and you don't know anyone. A good way to start and make effort towards getting to know somebody would be to make small talk or to start a medium-length conversation. It's kind of rude to go to a party and not talk to anybody, because it's sort of like, why are you even there? It makes you maybe look a little bit self-absorbed. Self-absorbed is just a fancy way of saying you care more about yourself than other people, or that all you can do is think about yourself, and you don't want to get to know other people. So first reason why to make small talk, not to be rude. The second reason to make small talk is if there's an awkward or uncomfortable silence. This is just when everything gets quiet and people start to feel a little uncomfortable or anxious. I'm sure you've experienced this before. So for example, if you're waiting for the bus and there's nothing going on and it's just you and another person, you might feel the impulse to talk to the other person so that there's not just an uncomfortable, awkward silence. The third reason to make small talk is simply to pass the time. To pass the time. This is a phrase that just means to make time go by. So instead of doing nothing, which can get kind of boring, and make time go really slowly, and it takes forever to get where you're going or for the time to pass, you could make small talk with somebody, and often this will make the time feel a little bit shorter, right? And then the fourth reason to make small talk or have medium-length conversations is that it's a starting point to make more meaningful conversations, as you will see in our next lesson on long conversations. So you can't really have a long conversation without first sort of getting into the conversation through small talk or medium-length conversations. It's very hard to just start a long conversation immediately. You kind of want to ease into the long conversation by using small talk. So now that we've kind of gone over a little bit of why we make small talk, that there is an actual reason for it, let's look at what you can talk about. So in general, you want to talk about very broad, so broad or general, and unimportant, light topics, so non-serious topics. Here's just a list of some topics that you might want to talk about. The weather, so you often can just start a conversation by saying, it's so hot outside. It's been raining for so many days, I wonder if it will ever stop. And that's a way you can start a medium-length conversation. Current or present events, like maybe a show that you're watching, so something on TV that you've been watching, or maybe the location where you're standing. So if you're in a park and you're sitting on a bench next to somebody, you might comment on how nice the park looks today, or something like that. something you have in common. It's very light, general, not serious. Another topic that can be a little bit more serious, but it's still considered small talk, is the news, right? So what's going on in the news? What is the most recent story that everybody is talking about? It's something you share in common if you live in the same city or the same country even, and it's a good way to start a conversation. You just have to be a little bit careful about this one, because if you start talking about politics in the news, people might get a little bit uncomfortable because they may not agree with you, you may not agree with them, and it could get a little bit more serious than normal small talk. So maybe talk about things in the news that don't necessarily have to do with politics. Another really popular topic is sports. So if there is a sport you really like and you know a lot about, you could talk about that with somebody. Here in Canada, the most popular sport is hockey, so oftentimes people will ask each other if they saw the recent hockey game, or did you see, here in Toronto, our team is the Maple Leafs, so you could say, oh, the Maple Leafs are doing really well this season. What do you think? And you could start a conversation from there.